In Los Angeles, those fire hydrants running dry just when they were needed most.
So many of the residents here have been telling me how angry they are that the hydrants ran dry, that there seemed to be a shortage of resources, but the firefighters we have seen here are absolutely shattered with exhaustion. They are waiting for those reinforcements to come in.
Ah, yes. And then when the reinforcements come in after the Pride Parade, they attach hoses to the hydrants and no water comes out. Because Democrats have been in charge for so long that when your neighborhood is burning, the L in the LGBTQ fire department eventually shows up, maybe, perhaps, but there's no water coming out of the fire hydrants because the Democrats have made everything better. They got rid of 4 dams very proudly. Gavin Newsom, the governor there, who's a Democrat, who thinks he's going to be president next time around, he can do for the rest of the country what he's done for California. We'll all have no water in our fire hydrants, and all of our neighborhoods will be burning. And then we'll have Venezuelan gangs rummaging through the ashes to see what they can retrieve. The Democrat Party. Well, hello, America. Happy Thursday to you, and welcome back once again. We are at 888-630-9625. Today in Washington, D.C., the state funeral for James Earl Carter, former President of the United States, Naval Academy grad, and a disaster of a president, of course, terrible, awful president. And the funeral is today. It's always interesting to see these things happen. They don't happen very often. We don't have that many presidents, and we don't have state funerals for a great many people. But at the National Cathedral today, you've got President Trump, President Obama, President Bush, President Clinton. All right? Those are your 4 former presidents, and President Joe Biden. Isn't that amazing? And in the front row there, they had Joe Biden seated next to Jill Biden, who's not a doctor, Joe Biden, who's not a president. You got Kamala Harris sitting next to them because they're the front row. They're the president and vice president. And you got Doug Emhoff, Secret Service code name Slugger, because, and I got to say, when they walked in, when Kamala and Doug Slugger Emhoff came in together, we were wondering why Kamala looked so sad. And then, did you see a hand imprint on her face? Because that was kind of weird. I don't know what that was. Maybe it was just cold outside, something like that. Weird. But we had President Trump and President Obama sitting side by side and having a perfectly nice, cordial conversation. Interestingly, of course, Melania Trump is there, looking beautiful as always, sitting next to President Trump, and Barack Obama seated next to Donald Trump. And they're talking like they're old friends, just fine, carrying on a nice and civil conversation. But who's missing there? Michelle Obama is missing. She's not there. She's not attending. Where is she? Is she on somebody else's private jet flying home from Italy to one of their oceanfront estates? Or where is she? She's not there. Did she hate Jimmy Carter? What is with that? That's crazy. Also, George W. Bush, President, and Laura Bush, looking wonderful and pleasant. And Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, who was never president of the United States, just a horrible, terrible former Secretary of State. And they stole that Senate seat in New York for a little while, too, just to use as a launching pad to losing the presidential election to Donald Trump. Hillary did not apparently acknowledge Donald Trump or say hello or shake hands, not nearly as civil as Barack Obama, who we know hates everybody, starting with the United States of America and all of the people in it. But he was civil enough to shake hands with Donald Trump and Melania Trump and have a nice conversation. Fascinating stuff. I will not be attending, did not attend the funeral at the National Cathedral today. I did, however, attend the National Cathedral funeral for Ronald Wilson Reagan, quite a remarkable event there. I attended the funeral at the Washington National Cathedral for President George H.W. Bush. I was there for that one. At the Reagan funeral, I went and had a nice conversation with then Prince Charles, now King Charles III. And I had a nice conversation with him, explained a few things about the cathedral to him, and he was angry that he hadn't been briefed on those things. Didn't seem very happy. I also spoke to Mikhail Gorbachev, who I called Mr. General Secretary, which was instead of president, which was his Communist Party title, and had a conversation with him, and then brushed him off and went over to talk to Lech Walesa. People I talked to at the Reagan funeral at the National Cathedral. Great stuff. So we've got that going on. And there's a story that I wanted to share with you that's quite remarkable, I think. Now, the presidency of the United States is not a royal presidency. I think, we're America. We're the United States of America. And as Jimmy Carter is formally going to be eulogized today at the Washington National Cathedral, some kind of interesting and fun American details. For example, Gerald Ford, while he was living, wrote a eulogy for Jimmy Carter, thinking Jimmy Carter would maybe die before him. So Gerald Ford wrote a eulogy for Jimmy Carter. And Jimmy Carter lived and lived and lived to be 100 years old and a little more. Walter Mondale. Everybody liked Walter Mondale from both parties. He was apparently a very nice guy. And Walter Mondale wrote a eulogy for Jimmy Carter. Of course, Jimmy Carter's vice president and all that. Walter Mondale thinking that Jimmy Carter would not live that long, and so he wrote a eulogy. And today, those eulogies, although Gerald Ford and Walter Mondale have both died since, those eulogies will be read by the sons of Gerald Ford, son of Gerald Ford, and son of Walter Mondale will read the eulogies written by Gerald Ford, President of the United States, and Walter Mondale, not President of the United States, lost to Ronald Reagan, lost 49 states. Ronald Reagan won 49 states. Walter Mondale won Minnesota, which, as we now know, is a politically crazy state. Also, Mike Pence is there. And am I right that there was a Trump-Pence handshake? There was a Trump-Pence handshake there, which is kind of interesting. But we've got the current president, Joseph Robinette Biden, all four living former presidents that are in attendance for the funeral. Al Gore is there. Albert Gore is there, seated next to Mike Pence, former vice presidents. There are protocols for these things, and who sits in the front row, the second row, and then in order of succession, the seating arrangement is not random. It's not a movie theater. You don't go in and grab a seat. It's all arranged beforehand, and the vice presidents, former vice presidents, sitting behind the former presidents, and protocol. So lots of fun stuff going on there. But I wanted to share this and then I want to get to the Panama Canal stuff because there are several things here that Jimmy Carter is noted for: really high inflation and hostages being taken by the Iranians, 444 days and 52 hostages finally released while Ronald Reagan was taking the oath of office on Inauguration Day, January 20th, 1981, on the West Front of the United States Capitol. And because strength had returned. And we're about to witness something similar to that. So one of the interesting historical notes that should be cited here is that the Jimmy Carter funeral, when Jimmy Carter was voted out of office and Ronald Reagan won, we had, I believe at that point, 52 hostages still being held by the Ayatollah's boys and that gang of the students. The media called them students. They were terrorists and working for the Ayatollah. And it was the beginning of the regime that persists today, continues to plague the world. And it's all Jimmy Carter's fault. Should have stuck with the Shah, Reza Pahlavi. At the time, I actually met Reza Pahlavi, the son, just about a month or two, maybe 2 months ago at Newsmax. Had a nice conversation with the son of the Shah of Iran, who would be the Shah of Iran now had the Islamic Revolution not taken over the country. But the Jimmy Carter presidency ended with Ronald Reagan taking the oath of office, with the last of the hostages being flown out of Iranian airspace, and strength returned to the United States. Now we're going to watch something like that when Joe Biden leaves on January 20th and Donald Trump is sworn in as president of the United States, and strength returns to the White House. Peace through strength, war and chaos through weakness. And since Jimmy Carter's funeral today, he was a disaster in many ways as president of the United States. And I just, there was a little blurb buried in the Washington Post today that got my attention that I wanted to share with you. Now, the presidential yacht, there was a presidential yacht, and it's not too crazy a yacht, kind of old school 1950s kind of yacht, the Sequoia, called the Sequoia. And I've actually been on the Sequoia and motored around a little bit on the Sequoia. I got to drive the Sequoia, the presidential yacht. I have photographs somewhere of me driving the presidential yacht, and also jumped in the bed that was the John F. Kennedy bed, where he brought all kinds of women, not his wife, because Democrats, like that. I did get to drive the Sequoia, though, which is kind of fun, I got to say. And Jimmy Carter decided that owning a yacht was too ostentatious, too opulent for the president of the United States. So he gave up the presidential yacht, saying, I don't want a yacht. You should keep it for the next president, for future presidents. But he didn't. He gave up the presidential yacht, gave it away. And now it's in private hands, and it's in Washington, D.C., last time I looked, on the Potomac River, just south of the Capitol. And I think it's available for charters and things. But Jimmy Carter gave it away because that was too much. Jimmy Carter also gave away, and this is the blurb in the Washington Post today that I wanted to draw to your attention before getting to the Panama Canal, which he also gave away. And now the Chinese communists control it, even though the Democrats want to scream and yell and pound the table and say the Chinese don't control it. But they're stooges for the commies, as they've been for so long. The lead editorial in the Washington Post today, on page 18, Pomp and Presidential Circumstance. President Jimmy Carter's final trip to the Capitol this week to lie in state ahead of his Thursday funeral. That's at the National Cathedral, the Washington National Cathedral, the Cathedral of St. Peter and St. Paul. See, had more pomp and circumstance than his inauguration 48 years ago, determined to end what he viewed as the era of the imperial presidency, as personified by Richard Nixon. Sure, the former Georgia governor sought to shed as many trappings of power as possible, right? Though initially popular, Mr. Carter came to regret his efforts to de-pomp the presidency, which diminished the office. Yes, it did, because that's what Jimmy Carter and the Democrats, that's what they all do. That partly explains why Mr. Carter, before his death at 100 on December 29th, decided to pull out all the stops for his long goodbye. So, wait a minute, what about me? What about me? Now, here's the thing. Now, he gave up the presidential yacht, the Sequoia, and that was foolish, right? But then buried all the way at the bottom of this article, the last couple of sentences. In a strange historical twist, however, Mr. Trump benefited from Carter's allergy to ostentation because, you see, cereal heiress, the post-cereal people, a great deal of money, great wealth was accumulated post-cereal family. Cereal heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post gifted Mar-a-Lago. You see, the Post family owned Mar-a-Lago, the Trump estate, right? Cereal heiress Marjorie Merriweather Post gifted Mar-a-Lago to the federal government when she died. What a foolish thing to do that was. That's just extraordinary. She wanted it to serve as a winter White House for presidents of the United States. But Mr. Carter thought it was too extravagant and returned the property to her family foundation, which then sold it to the future president, Donald Trump. Trump said, "Fortunately for me, it will soon once again fulfill its original intended purpose of being the summer White House for the President of the United States, but in private hands instead of belonging to the presidency and the federal government." Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that amazing? So Marjorie Merriweather Post, who owns several estates in Washington, D.C. also. One of them's a museum now. One of them's a school now. And she gave Mar-a-Lago to the federal government to say, let's make it the summer White House for presidents. And Jimmy Carter made such bad decisions that he said, no, let's give it back to the Post Foundation. They sold it. Donald Trump bought it. Now it's the summer White House. Democrats and irony. Then I'm going to get to the Panama Canal coming up and the Chinese communists. But you know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally here. Yes, it is. It builds on the incredible success of previous generations, which earned thousands of five-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet, quickly became a bestseller. This new Thunderstorm uses two different technologies that scientific studies have proven help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses in the air. Important these days. It removes dusts and pet dander and smoke and a whole lot more from the air and helps get rid of any odor. No filters required either to replace over and over again. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. I'm talking about trash cans, left-wing protesters, Michael Moore, cigarette smoke, stinky shoes. Honestly, any smell will disappear in just a few seconds. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. You could put one in the basement, the teenager's room, the kitchen, anywhere you like to breathe clean, fresh air. Bring one to the office. Give one to your college kid. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, EdenPureDeals.com, and use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 on 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yeah, so Jimmy Carter gave away Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump bought it. It was supposed to be a summer retreat for the president. Oh, the irony. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. All right. We've got a number of moving parts here, and that's fine. We like a little juggling. That makes it more fun, I think. And I got to tell you this story, this blurb that I didn't know until today, that Marjorie Merriweather Post gifting Mar-a-Lago to the federal government to make it available to presidents of the United States as their summer retreat. And Jimmy Carter gave it away because he's Jimmy Carter. And he gave away the presidential yacht, the Sequoia. Amazing stuff. And Donald Trump bought Mar-a-Lago long before he became president of the United States. Man, oh, Manischewitz, I am telling you. You know, Trump and Obama, again, having a lively conversation, and not just for a couple of seconds. They were talking and laughing, and we're going to have to get lip readers on this. We got to get lip, and it'd be fun to put fake, I'm sure somebody will, put a fake voice track over the conversation they're having back and forth. Remarkable stuff. And where's Melania? Why would Melania not? I'm sorry, where's, excuse me, thank you, where's Michelle? I was looking at Melania. And, where's Michelle? She didn't show up. Why didn't she show up? That's interesting. I tell you, Kamala and Doug Emhoff don't look very happy together. They're not the turtles. You know, happy together. Pretty amazing stuff. All right, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Hack, calling from Bethesda, Maryland. Oh, Hack, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Well, look who finally shows up to work, Chris Plant.
At long last, finally. What a deadbeat I am.
Subject to, immediate recall, like the military?
I don't know. We haven't had a circumstance like that. But, you know what?
Well, you would think.
The truth is, yes, if there were a really huge event, I would get a phone call and they say your vacation is over. That's happened to me many times in my career, actually.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm calling, I have two things. First, with the presidential funeral here, when Joe Biden gets up there, is his staff going to take away his watch?
That is a perfectly good question because
and then follow up on that is once he gets done telling us how great Jimmy Carter is he going to ask Jimmy Carter to stand up?
That wouldn't be surprising at all, would it? Because instead, he's not in a wheelchair, but he is in his casket. And Joe Biden is famous for inappropriate calls to crowds. And yeah, you remember what was that? It was Chuck. It was Chuck was in a wheelchair.
Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up. Chuck, let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck.
Stand up for Chuck. That's yeah.
And when he was talking about the woman who was a congresswoman who died in the car crash, and then he told her to stand up, right?
Well, he did. He thanked her for being there, I think, and waved at her. And her funeral had been a month earlier, or so. Yeah, it was, and he wanted to
address that in that conversation. I think
he did. What?
Didn't he talk about her dying and then saying that she was there? I don't know, but anyway.
Here he is. Since you brought it up, Hack, you make the call and we respond.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie?
Where's Jackie?
I didn't think she was going to be here.
Yeah, she's not here. Yeah, that's Jackie had died tragically in a car crash.
She was unavoidably detained.
She was, yeah, she was unavailable. Joe Biden.
All right.
Yeah, it's true. And yeah, he'll say, "Is Jimmy Carter here? Hey, Jimmy, hey, stand up, Jimmy."
Before you go to the next caller, can I circle back on the L.A. fire situation?
Circle back, sure, you betcha. You got Jen Psaki.
So you know what the problem is that all the male fire hoses identify as female couplers. That's why they can't get everything going there.
They can't get to the water because of gender issues with the hoses.
Are identifying as female hose connectors.
They've made everything so complicated, haven't they? Heck, you just
certainly have.
You just want to run a little water through it, and the Democrats make everything difficult. That's an obscure reference to a movie called My Favorite Year, but we'll get to that later. Hack, good stuff. Thank you.
All right, I missed you, man. I missed you. I really wish you were to come back.
Well, I came back eventually. I took a little time. I had to move. We had to move and stuff.
Yeah, well, you know who else has to move?
Who?
Kamala Harris. So if you're not doing anything next weekend, beer and pizza, go over to Naval Observatory, pack it up, and, well, I guess you can't go back to California. So
yeah,
probably be crashing on somebody's couch or whatever.
Yeah, they're probably going to have to. That's amazing. Yeah.
Does your new house have a spare bedroom for her?
And we do. We do have a spare bedroom. Yes. For her, no.
Oh, okay.
Bedroom, yes. No. Yeah, in our apartment. Yeah. While we were moving, we were sleeping on the floor on a mattress for more than a week on the floor of the mattress, and had a kind of a small TV with an antenna. We had an antenna TV. Didn't have a grown-up bed, just the mattress on the floor and the TV on a table-y thing, a cabinet. It's on a cabinet, fun stuff. Yeah, moving was actually kind of fun. People talk about how terrible and stressful moving is. We didn't really. There were some issues with the movers and stuff, but never mind that. Let's go, Hack. Thank you. Fun call. Now let's go. Because California, the Democrats have ruined everything. I was talking about that, right? And the governor bragging about shutting down 4 dams, the biggest dam shutdown since, the Germans bombed dams in World War II. And the Democrats do that without bombs. They may have used explosives, though, to do away with the dams because they got a fish issue. Now, let's actually go to soundbite number one. Because the mayoress, do you say mayoress when it's a woman? The mayor, because you have like baron and then baroness, right? And the mayor of Los Angeles, California is a woman named Karen Bass. And Karen Bass was a Democrat member of the House of Representatives. She was in Congress. And she said, I think I want to be mayor of Los Angeles. I can wreck more there as mayor. I can cause more damage in California, turn it into a third world beep hole, along with Gavin Newsom, by making incredibly horrible decisions that will ruin everything for everyone. Maybe we can burn Malibu and Pacific Palisades, and they got all these, fires all over the place. And it's madness. Now, it turned out Karen Bass decided, and I think she declared a state of emergency because they could see the fires coming or something. And then she got on an airplane and flew, I assume, first class, probably a free upgrade like Mayor Eric Adams in New York. She flew to Accra, Ghana. And I went to Accra, Ghana once, not for very long. It was for hours, not days. And I did buy 2 fertility dolls there that I brought home, carved wooden fertility dolls, because one of my brothers and his wife were struggling, trying to get pregnant to have a kid. And I talked to the vendor on the street in Accra, Ghana. Well, what are these? Oh, these are fertility dolls. And I said, oh, my brother and his wife, they're trying to have a kid. Will these help? And he said, oh, yes, guaranteed. He seemed very convincing. So I bought them, and I came home, and I decided that I was going to send them to him. I decided that they're stressed out enough. I shouldn't send them African, wooden fertility dolls. But I bought them, and I came home. I ended up putting them on my own shelf because I didn't want to stress them out more and make fun of their difficulties. And sure enough, 40 days later, they were pregnant. And she just graduated from college last year. She just graduated, and then I revealed that the reason they were able to have their daughter and then another daughter, wonderful kids, that was because I bought these African fertility dolls in Accra, Ghana, right? And they work. I'm here to tell you they work. And I'm kidding, of course, but it was a fun thing that I kept secret for years. And then I revealed it at long last. But in any case, she decided, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, California, really, really bad mayor, epic bad mayor. She said, I'm going to go to Ghana, to be there for the inauguration of the president of Ghana. Oh, by the way, Karen Bass is apparently not going to the Trump inauguration. She's boycotting. She would certainly normally be welcome as the mayor of Los Angeles, California, to the inauguration of the President of the United States. But she's basically boycotting that. She's not going to that because she's Karen Bass. But she did have to go to the inauguration of the president of Ghana because, that was important to the people of Los Angeles. It wasn't, of course, at all. And then the big event started in Los Angeles, California, and she decided she should rush back home to California because it seemed like a good idea once the city was up in flames. So she jumped on a plane and came back to Los Angeles, California. When she arrived back in Los Angeles, California, at the Los Angeles International Airport, known as LAX, because we abbreviate everything, and at LAX, a Sky News reporter, not CBS, ABC, NBC, or CNN, but a Sky News, British, version of Fox News, Sky News reporter spotted Karen Bass after she got off her plane and wanted to ask her some questions. In fact, did ask her some questions. The reporter, I want to give him credit, David Blevins found Karen Bass at the airport and started asking, hey, what do you think about the city burning down while you're off in Ghana for who knows what? And it sounded, and listen to this, because she stands there stone-faced and won't answer anything, won't make eye contact with him, occasionally glances at him like she doesn't like him. And he asks for 43 seconds, asks questions of her, and she's trying to find a door to escape. And the door in front of her is locked, and she can't. And she's got a staffer with her, who I assume came, flying first class to Ghana with her. And it sounded like the Sky News, David Blevins, with L.A. Democrat, left-wing, lunatic mayor, former House member, Democrat, Karen Bass.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
She's just looking around.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today?
I don't owe you anything.
Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position?
Elon Musk.
Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster?
She could care less.
No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
Yeah, should have gone to Ghana. And she doesn't answer anything. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't respond at all. She looks like a weirdo, like she's doing some kind of weird Ghanaian drugs. She doesn't respond to any of the question. What do you think, Michael, what do you think the glassy eyes suggest with Karen Bass there? Maybe chat, maybe chewing on chat. Maybe you probably carry those on the airplane with her. That is pretty amazing stuff. So 7,400 miles away, went to Africa from California to be present for the inauguration of the president of Ghana. She had cut the fire department budget by $17.6 million, had appointed a new fire chief who is a woman, first woman fire chief in Los Angeles, and representative of the LGBTQ community, which is very, very important. And so you've got, a gay woman fire department, and the fires aren't being put out. That should be considered problematic, but it's not, because that's what Democrats do, right? Now, Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, then came out after not answering any questions here because she doesn't owe anybody anything, and the people of L.A. can go beat themselves, right? But Karen Bass then came out and lied to the people of Los Angeles and California about how the water is flowing and all the fight. And again, if you can show me video of a fire hose belonging to the fire department, I saw a guy trying to spray it down with his garden hose, and his friend came and said, "You're going to die. Get away from here. You're going to die." And he had to run away because he was going to die because the fire department's not there. The trucks aren't there. Oh, yeah, and they gave fire trucks. They gave a whole lot of fire equipment to Ukraine. Did you know this? Los Angeles gave fire equipment to Ukraine. And then it has to be flown over there, of course, and it's not going to be on a slow boat through the Panama Canal. We're going to get to that, too. So here's Karen Bass saying, oh, no, plenty of water to put out the fires, to go to the fire hydrants.
Water remains available in the Palisades through hydrants, but also through water tankers that have been deployed. Claims that the tanks weren't full are false.
Yeah, there are plenty of in the Palisades. But what's really going on there? Because the firefighters, that's right. This person, the head of the Department of Water and Power, the head of the Department of Water and Power in Los Angeles, was then asked, because the mayor said, oh, no, the water is coming out of the... We had already seen reports that the fire hydrants in Pacific Palisades, which is up on fire like it's Dresden in World War II, and the British are bombing the snot out of it, and there's no water. And so the mayor was asked about it, and she said, oh, no, there's plenty of water. Then the head of the Department of Water and Power begged to differ.
Because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it can get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water. Oh,
so the mayor lied, and the head of the Department of Water and Power, pretty amazing stuff. The CEO, they call the person the CEO of the Department of Water and Power, and the chief engineer, Janice Quinones. And Janice Quinones said, oh, no, there's no water going there. That's just not true. Isn't that amazing? But Karen Bass, the mayor, she claimed that there's plenty of water because she's a Democrat, so she lied. And she was in Ghana for the inauguration. Now, she's boycotting Trump's inauguration. But on taxpayer money, she flew to Ghana, 7,400 miles away, to attend the inauguration of the president of Ghana, but not Washington, D.C. for Trump. The Democrat Party should be banned and banished.
This is for ladies only.
And so is this, Mom, but every now and again I have to run a little water through it.
Did you see the story a while back? Insurers drop fire coverage for California homes months ago. Now wildfires are claiming houses in Los Angeles. And the insurance companies are out of there because The California Democrats have made the place uninsurable. Insurance companies look at the water supply and the reservoirs and the fire departments, and they say, you're uninsurable. We're out of here. Because Democrats. Then the fires came. Let's go to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Stuart, calling from the great state of Iowa. Stuart, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
Just wanted to point out that all of these policies have nationwide impact, and that in the effort to preserve nature, they allow millions of acres of the supply of lumber to be destroyed, and all that does is increase costs of new construction and also the cost of replacing other homes that have been destroyed in other natural disasters across the nation, and then also forcing the insurance companies out of the states by making the requirements in order to get a insurance company approved so ridiculously expensive that they can't afford to be in the state. And but all of this is to drain the wealth of the American people, in my opinion. Increased homeowners insurance across the nation occurs, and then also the ability to even repair or build a new home is impacted as well. And so we have a housing shortage. Lumber costs have gone up as high as 400% over the last few years, and then it's dropped down a little bit now again. I think it's like 200%. But all of that impacts the ability of people just to live their lives, and they are perfectly the lefties are perfectly fine with government taking over the insurance industry at this point.
Well, that's right. They're going to blame the insurance companies because they always blame someone. They create the catastrophe, and then they blame someone else for what they have done. Again, elections have consequences. Policy decisions have consequences. And these are a pretty good demonstration, what we're watching now in California, a pretty good demonstration of what we're talking about and what Barack Obama's talking about, the fundamental transformation of America. And they'll blame the insurance companies. Even though for them it's just a math issue. The left is here, and they're here to destroy.